Mrs. Bass, it's a pleasure to serve with you in the chair. And what I would first of all say to my honourable friend, the Minister, is congratulations on his promotion, because since the explanatory memorandum was laid, of course, he was recognised by the Prime Minister, so well done to him on that. And I know on the wider point about Horizon, he's been a very deft Minister and a very doughty champion for postmasters and sub-postmasters. And I'm conscious that there's an inquiry ongoing, government is already legislating, and many of the comments made here today echo the concerns that people have with what has happened. The reason I'm rising to speak today is to talk about the rural network. Now, the Minister set out with about 11,000 officers, about 6,000 of those rural branches. And of the subsidy that happens, it's my understanding, although I'd be happy if the Minister were to clarify, that currently there's about a £50 million subsidy that goes to rural post offices, and I don't believe that has changed over many years. And as a consequence, with a combination of rising prices and so on, in trying to be efficient, I think the Post Office is looking for opportunities to try and keep services going, however, to the expense of some of my constituents. And one of the things that's already been referred to by the shadow spokesperson from the SNP is about how increasingly, with bank branches closing, the Post Office is picking up that usage by many customers. And that lends itself to not only, of course, expecting money from the banks as part of that, whether that's through banking hubs or some other way of helping them with equipment. But I do think we should understand and get some transparency on what is actually happening with this subsidy that we're voting for today. I'm conscious most of it is to do with Horizon, but not exclusively. And that's where I think some more transparency would be really helpful. Now, the village is called Kelsale in my constituency. It's about a mile away from Saxmundham, and that is a small market town where there is also a post office combined with a pharmacy. And however, unlike Kelsale, where it's an outreach service at the moment, undertaken by the current sub-postmaster, or it's just about to change, that happens in the heart of the village hall in a secure setting. And just for their one session they have a week, they have on average 22 transactions. And yet, because of the distance away from Saxmundham, apparently there's a bus every other hour, then they're dropping that. And my plea, I've already met the Minister, I appreciate he's been diligent and did raise this to the Post Office, but I will do this again in terms of trying to get an answer about transparency. I know that the Post Office is already saving money by switching the outreach service to being a mobile van. What I'm pleading for is a simple stop on the route for an hour a week, recognising elsewhere of all the outreach service, communities are getting fewer hours on which a sub-postmaster will attend. But I understand that when you're dealing with 7 or 8 transactions a week, or at best something like 30, I appreciate that, but that is what that subsidy is there to be used for. And in particular, why I'm singling out Kelsale, is just recognising also not every constituency can be considered exactly the same. We should be looking.
Is about the increase in the cap, not about specific issues in her constituency.
Well, I hear what you say, Mrs. Vaz, and I will bring it back. What I'm trying to say is, I think my constituents in Kelsale deserve some more of that increase in the cap, in the subsidy. And as a consequence, one of the things that I also want to highlight is that I don't think that the Post Office give adequate responses to members in their discussion about the subsidies being put, how they are being used. And I think it really matters, not just for the Minister, but the Post Office is accountable in how they do that. Instead of just putting strictly private and confidential on letters, on information I already had, they need to show how that subsidy, what it is costing, because ultimately I'm here today to vote for this motion because I believe the Minister knows that the Post Office needs more money. But I want to make sure that money is being well spent and it's being put there for the purposes for which we vote. And one of those is about maintaining rural branches. That is why I really want the Post Office, given that there's a cap, a 50% increase in the cap to £750 million, up from £500 million. I mean, we are talking of £750 million that is going to be made available to the post office in terms of subsidy for branches, I believe that rural branches, particularly the community Kelsale, deserves a modest amount, a proportion of that, in order to keep the post office operating right across the country.